It's never too late to catch up on your personal spring cleaning. Today, let's discuss how reprioritizing and the act of decluttering our lives can lead us to finding clarity and acceptance within. I proudly welcome the beautiful minds, men music, of Phoenix-based singer-songwriter Ryan Flynn and Rochester, New York mindfulness coach Alana Cahoon. My name is Amanda Ashley, and this is Afternoon Cocktail episode 109, Clarity. Welcome. And Ryan and Flynn, welcome to Afternoon Cocktail. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So Ryan, you're actually a Rochester native.
I am. Yes. Not to. I guess it was just before the pandemic. Actually, my girlfriend and I, we kind of have been quite nomadic. So we were actually on a road trip over this past summer, kind of just doing all the national parks, and I actually brought my synthesizers with me. So it was kind of cool to just set up on the side of the road and do some improvisational pieces. But on that trip, we kind of made it all the way out to Phoenix, and we kind of fell in love with it and decided, all right, well, let's check it out. Let's move out there for a few months and see how it is. And it's been nice. It's definitely been hot, but it's been it's been a different change of pace, especially coming from a Rochester winter.
Sure, definitely a different kind of heat, right?
Oh yeah.
I bet. So, I mean, how long have you been in Phoenix now?
I think we're just about rounding out 6 months, and yeah, just about that long now. So, and we're considering kind of wrapping up our time here, maybe moving elsewhere. We've been looking at a few other places, just kind of maybe it's a new perspective from the pandemic, just to kind of keep your options open and really find the place that vibes with you.
Sure, absolutely. No, I mean, was this inspired by the pandemic that you were just like, hell with it? I'm just gonna let's go see the national parks and
Yeah,
hit the road?
kind of. I think it was our original plan. Even before the pandemic, I had started working on a very DIY tour across the country. And then that, like I said, it was just before the pandemic. So pretty much just as we were about to hit the road, then it was kind of all canceled. So we really were like, you know what? Let's just do our own thing anyway. Just check it out.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's
So,
fun.
where's your next stop? Do you know yet?
We got a few considerations, but we were kind of considering Austin while we're out here in the Southwest, just to kind of check out the scene there. Been hearing good things, but could be cool. And who
Yeah,
knows, maybe we'll
definitely.
swing back up to New York after that.
Have you made it as far as California yet?
Not yet. So we have that option as well to kind of
Yeah.
head more in that direction or to head back that way. But we'll see. We're gonna feel it out.
Awesome. Well, seeing all these keyboards really excites me. I feel like I'm about to watch a Chicago video. Oh, but yeah, what are you going to perform for us?
So first, I'm gonna perform the single that was kind of spawned out of the pandemic. It's titled Outside. And it really is kind of focusing on just this interesting viewpoint of once that summer came in New York, it did feel like a lot more people were kind of getting outside and kind of appreciating just like being outside. And there wasn't too much to do, like even restaurants, you could still sit outside to eat. And I think, me personally as well, I think we gained more appreciation for kind of just our natural surroundings and just kind of really taking it in and realizing this outside, this like nature, that doesn't change no matter what, is kind of going on with our human lives, our reality that we thought was, the only thing.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, take it away. I can't wait to hear it.
Cool. Thanks. pleasure, always on my mind. Such a treasure to reflect inside. I gotta get back to where my head's at. Got a feeling for a little more. Take a step outside. You should be living your life. Take a step outside. Gather into the light. Golden patterns in the sky. Watch them shimmer as I pass you by. I gotta get back to where my head's at. Got a feeling for a little more. Take a step outside. You should be living your life. Take a step outside. Gather into the light. Take a step outside. Are you feeling alive? Take a step outside. Gather into the light.
Yes, Ryan. I love it. So badass. So
Thank you.
what inspired this sound? Like what are your influences? Who are your
S-
influences?
Yeah, I think my influences kind of range, uh, but right now a lot of my favorite bands involve Fanagram, Purity Ring, Tame Impala, a lot of that like kind of indie synth stuff, and I started really delving into it in back in college when I started kind of experimenting with more getting into like electro pop stuff. I was actually went to school for film and kind of just wrote an album while at school, just thinking nothing of it, pass it amongst my friends. But the response was kind of enough for me to be like, oh, I guess there's something here. And that's coming from more of like a metal band background from high school. So it definitely was a change. But I think that all those elements of music throughout your life kind of come together in your projects, which is always cool to see.
Definitely. It's interesting. I when I came across your music, I thought about Beau is a huge Tame Impala fan.
Oh,
And
nice, nice.
yeah, we
Cool.
actually just recently watched I forget which album they were celebrating. It was like maybe like a 10-year anniversary of one of their, I think maybe their first album, or I don't know, I'm getting this all
Yeah.
wrong.
Yes.
It was
Yeah, I
in
think so.
Australia.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Did
I'm
you
trying to
see
remember.
it?
I did not see it, but I did
That's
remember the
awesome.
10th anniversary. That sounds really cool.
It was really, really good. And I guess, well, where they performed live from it, so it was a live stream performance,
Right.
and Beau bought tickets and we watched it. And where they performed it was where he actually wrote the album.
Oh,
And it
cool.
was awesome. Like the sun
That's
was
very cool.
setting and it was really good. Really,
Yeah,
really
that's
good.
awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, I
I gotta
definitely
check that
hear
out. Yeah.
some of,
Oh, cool,
yeah, you
cool,
should. I could definitely hear some of those influences.
cool.
I love your voice too.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about, I mean, so you had mentioned schooling. Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Florida, Full Sail University.
Okay.
So I got my bachelor's in film, and it was such a cool time. But I think during that time, actually, I think this kind of plays into clarity. I think I really realized music was always part of me, and I wasn't escaping that. And I kind of drifted a little bit more towards composing scores and stuff like that. So I kind of found my heart there, and it just brought me back to performing and writing music. And I really just started delving into a lot of more of the electronic stuff. I guess it kind of helps because a lot of it can be programming, so I can do it on my own, which helps like on the road now too. So I think that's what kind of helped during school.
So is this your typical like setup, like what's in front of us when you perform on the road? Or I mean, how many keyboards do you own?
Yeah, I mean it's grown recently. This was this year's birthday present to myself was this synthesizer, and I'm still debating on whether I want to actually take everything on the road now that live shows are opening up, because
Mm.
now that I sit back and realize how much wires and cables are involved, I really have to think about condensing down. But for a while, yeah, I mean this was basically the MIDI keyboard, the guitar. It was kind of all part of the live setup.
I love it. It's so cool. What's up with the plants? So your
The
pictures
plants,
that you sent
yeah,
me,
yeah,
like
yeah. I guess it's been my new vibe, especially like just being out here in Arizona and just like the botanical garden. But I've really just been vibing with the plants, so I kind of refreshed my image, so to say, with the latest release, Automatic Love. And I don't know, I've been really like taking inspiration from Plantasia and things like that. A lot of those like early 70s synthesizer albums that are just been very raw and very inspiring, trying to like incorporate those elements into my music moving forward.
is this something? So you had mentioned nature. I mean,
Hmm.
are you do you feel very inspired by nature?
Yeah, I mean, especially like we were talking about with the pandemic and everything, and like just being more outside. Noticed I would be taking more walks, more hikes and stuff like that, and just kind of realigning myself with kind of the my natural surroundings and just how often they play inspiration subconsciously into writing and everything, really just a matter of like existing. So I think I've been kind of tuning more into that and just appreciating kind of having that other life around while writing.
Absolutely. I know you had mentioned that you've just kind of been visiting, making your stops at the
Yeah,
national parks, and I definitely feel a true connection to nature. Like I've been to Yellowstone and
nice.
Yosemite, and I've been, yeah, like those two places. Like I mean, when you see something that beautiful, I mean the Grand Canyon, like
Right,
when you
right.
see these sites that you feel like you're
Yeah.
walking in like a postcard, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
exactly. And it's just
how is this real
unbelievable.
life? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's natural. That's even better. It's like, oh, this isn't
Mhm.
even man-made. Like this just exists naturally. It's wild, and it definitely is eye-opening when you visit there as a person. It's one thing to see like a photo of it, but when you're there, especially in the canyons and everything, it's so vast and so massive. You kind of rethink rethink like your position in the bigger picture in a good way, in a very good
Yeah.
way.
Oh, I totally agree. Like I always feel like, wow, like it reminds me of like how small of a specimen we are on this gigantic,
Right.
beautiful planet, and
But it's
how much
exciting. It's like, oh,
more to
yeah,
life
yeah,
there is,
exactly,
like,
exactly. Right.
yeah, it's
Cool.
very humbling.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned Automatic Love. Tell us a little bit more
Hmm.
about this is your most recent release and single. You have
Yes.
a video out. Tell us about it.
Yes. So Automatic Love, I actually just made a post yesterday. It came out of I lost my computer died on me, the one that was gigging all throughout Rochester, all throughout a lot of New York and everything. It's so much writing and everything that went into it, and finally one day it just crapped out on me naturally per 2020. But so I ended up getting another one, and fortunately with the stimulus check. But Automatic Love is one of the first songs I wrote on that, so it's like it was a new work space for me. So I think that has a certain connection to me with it, as far as like just like a new environment, a new workspace is kind of something to get used to, but something creative usually comes out of it.
I love it, and the video is excellent. So
Thank
and
you.
it,
Yeah.
I know you said you have a background in some film and videography. I mean, well, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but you said film.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true.
So, I mean, did you have any part in the actual filming of the video?
Yeah, so that one's pretty fun. One of my great friends, Steven Spady, he we went to school together in Full Sail, and he's always been super cool and very very creative and helped me out with a lot of other music videos as well. I've done some of the Ryan Flynn music videos catalog as well, but this one was interesting because it actually is two music videos. So there's a part where, like, the parts that I'm on the that boombox machine, I actually filmed here on a green screen, and then a whole entire music video like that, and then sent it over to him, and then he incorporated that music video into the bigger music video. So we kind of had a nice little collab on that. But I mean, all of that stuff that you see in that video is a lot of his work, and it's just incredible. I mean, he sent it over, and I was like, "Yep, that's the video."
I love it. It's awesome. It's
Yeah,
awesome. It's really cool. You guys should all check it out.
thank
It's
you.
on his Facebook page. He recently posted it, and it's up for viewing. I'm sure it's on YouTube as well, right?
YouTube, yep, all the
Yeah.
goods, Vimeo, and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome. Really, really cool. And
thank you.
so your recordings, do you record and produce everything yourself, or do you actually work exclusively with anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I do majority of the writing and producing, but my another great friend who I actually grew up with in New York, Andrew Cavacciuti, he's really like a mastermind when it comes to the mix and everything, and just adding some more elements and that I would never think of. I think it's tricky when you're when you're the writer, you're recording, and you put it out. You kind of miss some things, so it's always nice to have somebody else involved who can have another set of ears, especially when it's someone you've been working with for a long time and who understands the genre, who understands the tonality. So it's been super helpful, but it is kind of, he's my go-to guy for when it comes to producing Ryan Flynn songs.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
It's always nice to find somebody that you could consistently work with, right?
Yeah, for sure. He's actually based in Rochester right now as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, have you been really inspired? I mean, I know traveling really inspires me.
Hmm.
Have you been writing a lot, or has it been the
Yeah.
opposite this year? Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting. I think what happened was when the pandemic first hit and we kind of were just stuck around, so to say, that's when I was just writing a lot. It was nonstop, which was cool. It just gave me all the time. So I was trying to mentally make sure I took advantage of this time I had to write and experiment and play around and stuff like that. But as far as travel, it gets a little bit tricky to write, but it's interesting to see like what little like parts I come up with on the road, or like some sort of lyrics I've jotted down, some sort of idea. And then I usually feel like I need at least, somewhere to kind of go around for a second to really get things written out. And I guess it has something to do with all these cables and plugging in and stuff. But
You need does the guitar have cables too, or I mean, oh yeah,
it,
you are
it
plugged
used to
in.
be wireless, but unfortunately with the latest Mac update, it no longer can be. So now I'm stuck to more cables.
Wow. Do you play any other instruments like guitar
um,
or?
no, I've messed around with guitar before, and maybe I should get back trying it again. But I think I kind of I tried it while I had keyboards. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna stick to that. But I've always wanted to try drums. I feel like that's a nice thing to learn. Very obnoxious, but I would really love to like get a better sense of like rhythm and pacing and stuff. Just I think that just helps as a musician.
I definitely agree. I wish I could play drums. I wish I could play everything,
I know, me too.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
It would just make it fun. And I'm like, let me try this today. But yeah, I stick to the
yeah.
keyboards mainly.
I tried teaching myself bass over the past year because we just have one hanging on our wall.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, I love bass because I thought maybe if I learn if I figured maybe it would help me to write more interesting piano bass lines
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I learned to play bass and if I turn my ear that way.
Right.
But I mean, as soon as things start getting busy again, like
Yeah,
I'm losing my
yeah,
chops now.
yeah.
So
I know. Oh man, yeah. Bass too. Bass and drums are just like they establish that rhythm, and I'm always drawn to those like pieces of a song.
sure. Cajon's kind of a nice thing to have on the
Oh yeah,
road too,
yeah.
just for like percussion and to have like, a sense of rhythm.
Right.
One
That's a
of
good
my
one.
friends actually, we went to Niagara Falls for like a quick visit, like a long weekend. My friend from Nashville came in town, and we rented an Airbnb. And my friend Miguel, he's got a friend that makes cajones,
Oh,
and but he
cool.
makes like travel cajones, so it actually like straps across your body, and you could kind
Wow.
of just like play it like one of these, and it actually sounds really great. And I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to get one of those because like Beau has taken like when we were traveling more like before the pandemic, and especially before our child, like he would like take his cajon and put it in a suitcase, and in the sound hole of it stuff his clothes and like stuff
Nice. There
whatever
you
he
go.
could, just so that we could take all our like whatever we could
Everything.
with us so that we
Oh,
could
that's
play on
awesome.
the streets,
There you go.
and
Multi-purpose.
yeah. Yeah, it actually stored clothing
Yeah,
very
yeah.
well,
There you
so
Nice.
Uh, so today's theme is clarity, and you had touched on it a little bit earlier. But what does clarity mean to you, especially coming out of a pandemic and coming out of this grand experience that you're still currently on, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. Never, it doesn't seem to end, which is very, very exciting.
Keep it going as long as you can.
I know exactly.
Seriously.
That's where I'm at. Um, yeah, I think clarity is a lot almost easier to talk about now coming out of the pandemic. I think if you asked me before that, I wouldn't be very sure at all how to define clarity. But and I'm sure we all, we all have our own personal definitions walking out of this or
Yeah.
walking somewhat out of this. But I think for me, what I realize is kind of, and I saw it with other people too, really realigning your passions and really kind of figuring out what makes you feel good, like really kind of centering yourself, centering your emotions, and thinking, twice, maybe three times about do I like this? Do I want to keep doing this? Whatever it might be. It could be any habit that you have, a career goal, a career that you currently have, a career that you lost. It really gave us time to kind of consider and reflect everything we've come to, no matter what age you were. It was a time to be like, this is interesting. Some people never really get the chance to spend that much time with themselves. And sometimes it's scary, but sometimes it's very refreshing and you kind of just see things in a new light, but really you're just seeing things as yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a beautiful answer. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think clarity, I think, is a lot of things. Like I think you go through different cycles of seeing things clear and clearer, right? Because like
Yeah, yeah.
the decluttering that I had mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
right? Like
Yeah, it is
we
kind of like
often,
cleaning. Yeah.
yeah, it's like cleaning house again, like
Right,
I
right,
I
right.
think about this, and I'll talk about this later in my closing monologue, but I feel like it's like I'm a drawer stuffer.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Oh, yeah.
like so like I'm like a lot of the times like like we feel what's out of sight out of mind,
Right, right. Oh, yeah.
but like a lot of the times we ignore like what we're actually feeling because we're caught up in the moment of everything that's happening around us. And as a musician, I mean, maybe you could relate to this too. Like as a musician that's trying to push your career, your original music, I mean, it's easy to get blindsided by all the things you feel like you have to do, that you
Yeah.
have to be doing in order to keep current, to keep,
Hmm.
like to play the game, and that and in a sense, like you could really get lost in that, and
Yeah.
forget about all the natural wonders of life.
Right, right. Yep, exactly. And I think that's what kind of happened. And I think it happened almost again. I think I'm experiencing kind of another clarity moment just with that exact thing. Kind of, it happened at the beginning of the pandemic, just trying to keep up with all of these new things that were coming out for music, just like all these new opportunities that you could hop on. And you just felt like you had to be involved in all of them. Like, oh, well, if I'm going to make it work now, I have to hop on all these things because there's no live performance, there's no interaction really. And it's extremely overwhelming, especially, when you're at a certain point in your career. And I would say even professionals kind of felt that pressure too.
Mhm.
But now again, it's still kind of still riding high. I'm happy to see that venues are starting to open again, but it definitely is still very much overwhelming as far as it changes by the second as far as the industry and just what's popular. So it keeps you on your toes, but it definitely is a stern reminder to kind of be like, okay, easy. Let's like reflect, like what, just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you in the same way. So choose wisely, like choose what you feel strongly about, as opposed to just a lackluster oh, I guess I got to be on this now type of thing.
Sure. And there's always something new to keep up
Yeah.
with, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you could just be going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, like
Yeah.
this infinite rabbit hole
Right, right.
of things, you know, trying to keep up.
Yeah.
But I think you're so right that that part that you had mentioned about just feeling happy, right? And
Mhm.
I think this is like what what the bottom line is for me. And I've realized
Mhm.
this over the past year, you know, like everybody's definition and of fulfillment is, you know, personalized. It's
Yeah.
according to you, you know, like what makes you happy might not necessarily make me happy or Alana happy, right? But and maybe Alana, you could chime in on this too if you'd like. You know, like I think you know, it's just that bottom line, you know, like taking a moment to like breathe and
Yeah.
process and to you know, really take in those things that are meaningful to you. Alana, do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
You
this
know,
is
the
your whole practice pretty much, right?
yeah, the basic meditation that anybody can do is pause. And I love the example of you're walking from point A to point B, and that can be from your kitchen to your living room or your studio to your car, whatever it is, and you're stuck in your mind. Your mind is already spinning, 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 and stop, like physically stop. And you may feel really weird. I still feel really weird. I'll just stop in the middle of my process. And then I'll make sure nobody's looking at me. And then I'll think, what do I care if anybody's looking at me? And then I look at my surroundings and I take a deep breath in and I feel my feet grounded into the earth. And I breathe into my heart chakra and I slow down and I say, everything's beautiful. Everything is exactly where it's meant to be, whether it's
Mm.
good, bad, or someplace in between.
Mhm.
And and so for me, that I don't know if that's necessarily happiness, but it's contentment.
Do you guys think that like I mean, I feel like we're so far less forgiving of ourselves, right? Like we almost fear to stop I don't know. Like I think like it's easy to look at the people around us and want happiness for them, right? But then like we when it comes to ourselves, like we overload, you know, like it's very typical for I mean, I guess I could speak from my own personal experience, but not everybody is like this. But you know, like I find it easier like to overload myself and to overlook a lot of my feelings, like kind of just bury them, you know, like
Yeah.
bury the fact that yeah, maybe I am overwhelmed, but I'll get over it. I just got to get past this week, you know, but
Yeah.
then the next week comes and then the week after that comes and it's just as busy. Right. And it's like, when I say far less forgiven, it's like, I almost like don't, I, the guilt of stopping, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
you can't stop, you know, because you have all these obligations to uphold to, right? Or
Mhm.
people are dependent on you for something. But will those people, in all honesty, anybody that loves you and respects you in life, they'll understand, right?
Mhm.
If you just really need that break and you're honest about it, you know, like I just need a mental break. You know what? I'm going to take this day off of lessons. I'm going to, you know what? I'm not going to live stream 3 times a week this week because I feel burnt out.
Mhm.
You know, that's okay. And I think a lot of us, like a lot of, I mean, for those that are like me, you know, that I know I'm not the only one on this, you know, it's hard to like look in the mirror and tell yourself, hey, it's all right. Just take a break. You know, everything
Yeah.
will be
Yeah.
there, you know, in another week. Take a pause, breathe, love your life, love your son, love the people around you, you know, and then pick back up when you need
Mhm.
to, you know. I think it's just like you have to like almost like force those reminders upon yourself. I have to.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I have to too, especially like what you were saying is like when you can kind of focus on the like your immediate surroundings. So you get so lost up in these thoughts and these plans and what has to be done, but really it is just pressure that you're putting on yourself. But if you just
Yeah.
reach out and you to those ones that constantly support you, constantly are around and love you, they usually completely understand, like, yeah, you probably should just like chill for a second, or give yourself some time. But meanwhile, you just kind of get lost. I get lost in my own head of just like, nope, can't stop it. If I want to make these people happy, proud, and stuff like that, I got to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I know entrepreneurs, like I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs too, and they're sucked in that mindset too. A
Yeah.
lot of them, like the professionals that just, like they're they don't want to admit they're overwhelmed, right? Like everybody's
Right.
trying to wear, like they're taking off all these hats, like
Hmm.
they take off one, they put on the next.
Yep.
And, and it's a lot, but a lot of the pressure is self-induced because they feel like they have to keep up.
Hmm.
They can't stop. They can't stop, won't stop, and
Right.
if they do stop, like they feel like everything's going to crumble. And I think it's just healthy to remind ourselves that, you got to be human, we're
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
machines,
Yeah.
like we're all human beings, and it's, there's more to life than just working non around the clock, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
um, Ryan, what's next for you? Like what do we have coming up? Do you have any shows? Do you have a new single release coming up?
Yeah. So now that shows are starting to open up, this is kind of my first live performance in a very long time. So
Aw,
thank you for having me and
thank you.
breaking out the rusty material. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of songs that I'm planning on releasing over the time. I think we have a nice little catalog coming up. Hopefully it all leads to maybe an album at some point. But the next thing that we're releasing is actually a cover song. I won't give away any details, but I'm pretty excited about that one. And then as far as shows, I actually think that I have a show in San Francisco in July, so that should be exciting. So I guess I
Excellent.
will have an excuse to go to the farther on the West Coast. Maybe I'll fall in love. Maybe we'll end up making a home there. But yeah, that's very exciting. So
I
that's the
love
future.
Northern
Yeah.
California.
Oh
Actually,
yeah, yeah.
like 5 years ago to this date, I remember I was flying to Oakland and I met Beau
Nice.
out there, and we had such a beautiful trip.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
we started in San Francisco, and then we played a show in this little surf town. You should go check it
Okay.
out, Ryan. Go look up a place called Smiley's. Um,
Smiley's. Okay.
I think it was Smiley's, right? And it's in a town called Bolinas. It's like this little surf town about an hour away from San Francisco,
Okay.
hour north, and it's awesome. It's so
Nice.
beautiful.
Oh, nice, nice.
And it was like honestly the best time, one of my favorite shows I've ever played in my life
Wow.
out
Cool.
there. And
Yeah.
from there, we went to Muir Woods so to see the redwood
Yes.
trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, talking about national parks and stuff,
Right.
like beautiful. Please,
Wow.
like if you're out that way, go do it. It's
For sure.
amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Good for
Thanks for the
you.
suggestion. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. And I mean, so where can our audience be directed to your music and find out more about you and where you're going to be next?
Yeah. Spotify is always good for the music. I'd love to thank everyone for the incredible love for Automatic Love. I think we're at 10,000 streams now a few weeks ago. So that's very cool and very, very, very humbling. And then you can always, Instagram, I think, is one of my main weapons of choice, my main tools of choice. So I'm definitely posting on there a lot. But you can always find me on Facebook, Ryan Flynn Music, and of course, the RyanFlynnMusic.com website is everything's on there as well.
Excellent, Ryan. I look forward to following you. And we're going to hear one more song from Ryan towards the end of our program. And we just got to see her beautiful face and hear her voice. But Alana, welcome to our show officially. It's really such a pleasure to have you.
Hi, Amanda. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Alana, can you tell us a little bit about you and your work and your mindful coaching?
Sure, I would love to. It's fun to be here because my first career was in music. I'm a songwriter, singer, have a degree in theater, and uh, made my way to New York City. I always knew I was going to go there. And when I was in New York as an artist, performing artist, waitress, but we won't talk about that right now. Yeah, it's kind of goes hand in hand with New York artists,
Yeah,
right?
me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Well, So I also, to balance New York, because I'm a sensitive human being,
Mm.
I became a member of the New York Open Center, and it was a holistic learning center. So I started learning everything about, meditation and Eastern philosophy and all kinds of fun stuff back in the 80s. So I was very into the whole New Age movement. Uh, and then eventually, I lived around the world a bit, but I came back home here to Rochester, my hometown, and I got a real job. And I discovered that my talents in the arts and on stage carried over very easily to marketing, sales, program development. I have a deep desire to help people. And so I found myself working at a business technology incubator that helps entrepreneurs. So I was there for almost a decade, and I saw what it takes to have an idea and to launch it and to either fail or succeed. And I also saw a lot of the stress involved, including myself. So when I eventually left there, I became a marketing consultant and then decided I had three websites. I had my music singing website, I had my marketing website, and then I had my healing website. So I've always done healing work, meditation, Reiki, yoga, all that. I'm certified in all that stuff. Really love it. So I blended it together, Amanda, to become a coach. And so I help usually professionals, but I mean, we're all kind of professional, right? So individuals to transition. Um, I named my company Grow to Be You. Follow your dreams, spread your wings, and follow your dreams. I don't even know, but anyway, it's about taking the next step. It's like what you're doing, right? You were a musician and you still are, but COVID maybe or something else pushed you to do something new, to go out of your comfort zone and to create this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. This podcast, like, really, well, to be honest, like, it helped me get out of a dark place, because I was, like everybody at the time, confused and worried, and I just wanted to. And then on the other end of that, I was like, I saw an opportunity to connect. I know as for me to function, right, I need to connect with people. Connection's very important. So I was like, what can I do to um what could I possibly do to kind of combine my need for connection, but also my need for some positivity, and my wanting to put some good energy out there for everyone, like not only myself, but to also to reflect, like this has been a real reflective period for a lot of people, and personally, it's this year I've
Yeah.
done more reflecting and growing than I have in all 36 years of my life. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's been like, and we were saying this earlier before we went live. It's almost like a second chance at
Mhm.
life in a way, like to like reevaluate all my steps prior to, you know coming out of this pandemic, like what redefining like what I want out of my life, like for the next 10 years. And I definitely still want music. I want creative people in my life, but the slowdown made me realize how much I really treasure and need more of those other things, that are
Yeah.
so important, you
Mhm.
know
Absolutely.
do you feel like that? I mean, was there ever a point like that for you, Alana, that like I mean, you practiced holistic and like you were practicing, mindfulness and meditation before, but did you ever feel like as a musician that maybe there was more pressure on you to kind of portray yourself in a certain way, or um to, I don't know, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, yeah. No,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Authenticity for me is so important. So I think one of the reasons I left theater and moved into music was because I really felt that pressure there. That it was, you had to, I would have been blonde and tan right now if I had stayed in theater back when I was involved in it. And in music, I permitted myself to be a full artist. But of course, I played on stages that supported that, Um, yeah, there's a way that we're told all the time externally to conform, to wear the right costume, the right hair, say the right things, etc. And to some degree, you need to be able to act properly, I suppose, depending on the circumstance, but in an authentic way, because nobody really cares about you if you're just a model of somebody else, right?
Right.
I have
Right.
I have to be me, whether you like me or not. That's up to you. And I'm going to do my best, to be a likable person, but that's not primary. Primary is, what is my purpose here on earth? What makes me, like we said earlier, what makes me happy? And when I
Mhm.
go out in nature, and we were talking about the forests, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, there's so much in this world, so much in this world. And I'm this person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not that you're small, but if you want to make an impact, then allow your light to shine to everyone.
I think
Yeah.
about that all the time. I was talking to somebody about this last night, actually, like the power of um, Kelly Brewer of Rochester Woman Online. Shout out to you. Yeah, I was talking to her about just the power of impact. Like with everything that we do, if we could positively, like I've been practicing consciously living, and it's still like a forever work in progress. But I think like when you when you start thinking about the power of impact and how the people that you surround yourself with, like anybody, like from the person at the cashier at Walmart to, like the woman handling my mail at the post office to, the child I'm going to teach later today, to whoever's at my gig later tonight,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I am going to play a role in their day, in some small way.
Mm.
Right. But I could choose to positively impact them in that small way, and that just this like thread that we all I do feel like this interconnectedness, like spiritually, to everything, like
Yeah.
there's really such an interconnectedness in life. And when you really think about the power of that, like how your mood could affect somebody else's mood, right?
Mhm.
Just the things that, one bad thing that you could say could turn somebody's day wrong, like in a
Yeah.
totally different direction if it's not what they want to hear, right? Like it's interesting, and when you start to think about that, you start to live a little bit more consciously. I mean, at least if you care, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's wonderful. You're talking about being mindful, right? You're being
Yeah,
mindful of other people's emotions and feelings, and also you're talking about energy, right? Our thoughts, our energy, our vibrations affect, it's like a ripple effect, right?
yeah,
We affect everyone and everything around us. Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Total ripple effect. Alana, I mean, what does clarity mean to you? Oh, jeez.
Clarity.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that, that's all right.
My glass just hit the intro
Ah,
button. My bad.
see?
So
No, no, that was perfect.
at least we got some cool music behind us, right? My bad. Ryan, you should make like a jingle to this.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
awesome. Moments like these allow you to be in the moment. And like
Yeah,
this, and this, right? As a musician, Ryan and Amanda, um, by the way, which is one of the hardest businesses in the world. So you are both professionals, right? But when these caveats happen in the middle of what you have planned, it's an opportunity to be more spontaneous, to be in the
Mhm.
moment, to laugh, and often that's when the most creative and fun things happen. So it's never a bad thing. And the same is true, I'm going to use the idea of driving. If you're driving and you need to get somewhere. I'm on this journey again. And turkeys. I live in the middle of a park, and the turkeys decide to wander and cross the road. Well, I've got to stop. And I'm just going to be late. And that's all there is to it. And
Right.
yes, there's going to be a ripple effect. But boy, when I go there and tell the story, and if I take pictures of these turkeys, it's going to, I don't know, shift and make things more interesting. So being in the moment of life and seeing the beauty, the constant beauty and fun, if anything has saved my life, in addition to meditating on a regular basis, it's laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned the turkeys because the other day I was driving, just running errands, and there was this like whole like line of geese and like these babies, like these little baby geese just taking their sweet ass time
That's
crossing the
right.
road with a line of cars of frantic, like pissed off people, and I'm like, and I just couldn't help laughing. I was happy I wasn't like in that line, but I was driving like on the other side, and I'm just watching them just like walk slowly across, like, no, you all could wait for me. But yeah, you're right. There's some things that are just out of our control. And I think by nature, like we want to control so much, or we think that we
Yeah.
need, like we have
Yeah.
to have control. And this past year has really taught us that no,
Yeah.
not everything is going to go just the way you plan it. You could plan all you want, but things happen, and your
Right.
whole like trajectory could just be flipped like that. So yeah, I think kind of rolling with the punches is something that I've learned to do.
Yeah.
That I think we all have, that we all probably have learned over the past year. And I don't
Sure.
know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alana, tell us about your mindfulness for professionals leadership training. What does that entail?
Sure. So I was inspired. I was inspired to create this program when I was helping entrepreneurs build their businesses, and I saw how many steps there took. And as you were talking about how an entrepreneur wears all these different hats,
Mhm.
and so the art of delegating, letting go of your baby. We're all artists, right? We're so close to our artwork. It's like saying, oh, okay, I'm going to let somebody else do the recording aspect. I'm going to let somebody else do the videography. I'm going to just let go of things and trust so that you can step into what you do best, whether that's singing, hosting a show, playing the keyboard, and creating almost an ensemble piece, right? So that's one part of it. And then it's being able to see clarity in the moments when the geese are walking across the street. It's being able to pause when there are a million balls in the air. So in the instance of the geese, the universe forced everyone to stop, forced everyone to stop. And if you were wise, if you've developed your inner wisdom, you could take that as an opportunity to breathe, to tune in, and to allow all the balls to drop and allow the priorities to rise. And what you so beautifully said in the beginning, Amanda, is you're taking the summer off. This is it. Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to spend time with my 4-year-old. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to play music, whatever it is. And I'm inspired. I'm thinking about just throwing some things off of my table now.
I
There
mean,
you go.
honestly, I think it's like this week, like all of a sudden, so last weekend really pull this into focus for me, like I had no gigs on my calendar last weekend, and I ended up being like an on-call musician. I had gigs every day.
Huh.
And I'm
Nice.
so fortunate and grateful. And it was an amazing weekend. I had a lot of fun. I got to see it feel in so many ways. I was like, wow, this feels so good to see my friends again, to be playing music. Like I realized how much how much of who I want to say I was, in a way, like before the pandemic. I almost forgot what it was like to be me, like that's
Yeah.
was my life. I did that 5-6 times a day, a week, not a day, 5-6 times a week, before the pandemic. And like what I mentioned earlier, I think without even realizing it, I was pretty burnt out. I didn't realize it up until really, like maybe 7 months into this pandemic, but even so, like I've been working my butt off for this show, like I've been doing a lot of writing and trying to figure out like what I wanted to do with this show. And, this has definitely become a passion of mine. I love talking with people, connecting with people. The fact that I get to meet people like the two of you is beautiful, and it's really opened a lot of doors and made me realize a lot about myself. But at the same time, like I've been doing this 3 times a week, and it's a lot, and I
Yeah.
think I'm coming to realize that now. So when the pandemic hit, I picked up a new life. Like I started this show. I've been doing this 3 times a week. And I also really picked up a lot with my teaching. So I instruct privately piano, guitar, and vocal lessons. And now I
Nice.
have 20 students. And I
Wow.
like just, yeah, like I'm just shy, maybe I lost one for the summer, but yeah, 19 to 20 students right now that I'm juggling on top of performing and on top of doing this show. And last week, I was just like, I felt anxious, like, and coming out of the weekend, and I looked at my calendar, and now my calendar is full with gigs again, not 5 times a week, because I told myself that I wasn't going to do that again.
Right.
But now all of a sudden, like, I have more gigs on my calendar than I told myself I wasn't going to do. And I'm like excited, but I felt the anxiety building.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Ugh, I gotta restructure. I gotta like take a minute and like figure out what's gonna feel right for me. I gotta find my balance,
Yeah.
like that struggle, like the struggle is real when it comes to balance. And it's like I find myself revisiting, am I balanced or not, every 5 to 6 months, maybe even 4 months, between everything. And I really try to check in with myself before I wreck myself, because I
Right.
will.
Yeah.
We just get
Yeah.
sucked into our routines all over
Mhm.
again. And I don't want to forget what I've learned,
Yeah.
you know, and I fear that with this year, because I think this year was really powerful in and teaching us all a lesson. And I fear that, like by human nature, that people just, once their lives pick up to how it was, that they
Yeah.
just go back,
Just fall back into it. Yep.
yeah,
Well,
fall
but
back into the same habit.
Hmm.
you're making the statement though that you don't want it to happen. And
Yeah.
so that's the first step. And you're catching yourself. What's really cool is that you didn't line up those gigs. Those gigs came to you. So that just goes to your point that you don't have to be in control and you can stop and allow nature to come through. But then there's also a time to say no. You
Yeah.
have to create your own structure, like you said, in your own um, boundaries, and know your energy bubble. Is it full or is it starting to get depleted? As soon as it starts to get depleted, that's when you start taking things off. And it's okay. And it's always okay. As long as you're not intentionally hurting anyone or yourself, you know? So that's a good question. Am I hurting anybody by not doing this? And if the answer is no, and if the answer is I'm actually helping myself, then there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I think about it too, it's like this weekend I'm going to be I mean this weekend's going to be a busy one for me. I'm not going to see much of my son, and I don't want that. So
Mm,
like when I think about it, I'm going to be out of town on Sunday. I come back Monday. I have a full schedule, and I was just thinking, I told my mom maybe I might have to move my lessons for Monday. Like I just got to like figure out, cuz I want that time. I got to find that balance with my family is important to me, my friends are important to me, my work is very important to me, right?
yeah.
But how can I, like what changes need to take place?
Mhm.
Like maybe taking the summer off from this will be a good thing, to refresh and then to come back strong in the fall, and in
Mhm.
September when we resume, I guess a normal-ish schedule. But yeah, it's just, picking and choosing. It all comes down to decisions,
Right.
right? Making those decisions that are right for you, and listening to what is going to make me happy? Like I
Mhm.
don't want to be stressed out. I've worked too hard to like, get myself in a better place and to like just revert back to that. I don't want to be unhealthy.
Yeah.
What do you find to be a common thread, Alana, among professionals who seek your services?
They're often going through a transition, which could mean a number of things. It could mean um, they don't like their job anymore and they want a new job. Could mean they want to be promoted and move to the next level. Uh, could mean they're ready to dust off their guitar and start a band, or dust off another project and create their own company, a podcast, uh, uh, I don't know, start baking cookies and putting a label on them and creating distribution for them. Um, it could be because someone's going through a personal transition. They're going through a divorce and a change. And it's like, okay, what do I do now? I've been in that world and now I'm in a different world. So it's often transition. And I like to call it effective leadership or conscious. It's for conscious leaders like you, right? So it's saying, okay, I want to live my life consciously. I want to be aware of myself and others. I want to live fully in a balanced, healthy way, mind, body, spirit. So you can grow your business and still have a fit body and have a calm and peaceful mind and have time to spend with your children, your family, and go out and take walks on the beach, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. I love it. Alana,
Mhm.
I love that you've tied your creativity to this as well, because I mean, you have a book out. You told me it was a few years ago you released an album for your meditation. So, Mantras and
Mhm.
Meditations is your book, but then you also have your music that you release. Could you tell us a little bit about both of them?
Sure. Okay. So I just released this, and this was my inspiration from COVID. So when COVID was announced last year in March, I was in a 9-day silent meditation retreat. So it's just crazy, right? I'm like, oh,
Wow.
the world's coming to an end. Oh my God, I'm in a good place. But so when I went home, I started cleaning, right? Didn't talk about decluttering, right? It was like every closet, everything. And I decluttered my laptop and realized that I had started writing 5 books. 5, and I
Whoa,
never
Wow.
what?
finished them. And I thought, well, if the world's coming to an end, who
No
knows,
better
right?
time than now.
Yeah.
No time like the present.
Yeah.
So I pushed through my fears, my comfort zone, and I've released at least 4 or 5 CDs, but never a book. So it was a whole new thing, and I did it, and it's really fun, and I feel like it serves people. It's like it kind of I had to look at it. It covers a lot of areas. Um, I'm just gonna read this. Discover how to love more deeply, access creativity, increase health and abundance, manage stress and anxiety, face the unavoidable prospect of death, and slow the aging process. So that whole unavoidable thing of death, I'd never really thought about that before. So I have a chapter on that, which I hope is beautiful and healing. And that's the intention, really, is just to say, here we are, we're all experiencing stress in almost every facet of our lives. And so here are some tips to bring peace and joy and laughter
I
in
love
all
it.
of it.
Nice.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Oh,
That's
Yeah, that's
thank
awesome.
amazing.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's so incredible. I love it. What's it like to, I mean, did you ever think you'd write a book?
Yeah, I saw it. I've been meditating, I have to say, probably my entire life. I really got started when I was 16. I found a book on transcendental meditation, and that was it. And so when I was in New York City as an artist, I remember having this vision of me signing books. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. That was a long time ago. And so it took a while for that to manifest, but I have seen it. So there you go.
I love it. Well,
It's
so
great.
happy that it came to life for you. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Very
Thank
exciting.
you.
I mean, I hate to put you on a spot. I hope you don't mind, but could you maybe close us out with like just a short meditation? Lead
Oh, I
us.
would love to.
Nice.
That's what I do best.
Yay.
Sure.
Make us feel good, Alana.
Yeah.
I will. I will. Okay. So you can either close your eyes. It's often a lot easier and has more of an impact if you close your eyes and take a nice, long, deep breath in and a releasing exhale out. And do that one more time. Feeling expanding your rib cage as you exhale, releasing, allowing your shoulders to drop and settling into your seat. Feeling the cushion that you're sitting on. Feel the earth beneath your feet. With one more breath in and out, bring your awareness to the sense of sound and listening to my voice and all of the sounds around you. Knowing that this is a precious moment, here and now, this moment. As you breathe in, focus on your breath. Following the breath as you breathe in, and following the breath as you breathe out. And throughout your day, take a moment, 30 seconds, to pause, take a deep breath in and out, and remind yourself that it is a precious moment. Another cleansing breath in and out. When you're ready, release. Wiggle your toes, your fingers, open your eyes. Offer yourself a smile.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Alana, where could our audience be directed to you and your services and order your book and your CDs? Where could they find out more about your wonderful self?
Thank you for asking. My book can be found on Amazon. It is called Mindfulness, Mantras, and Meditations. But if you look up my name, it ought to pop up. So my name's Alana Cahoon. And then I also have a website, which is alanacahoon.com. And there's a link right on the homepage to my programs and my book and some fun videos that I did myself.
Thanks.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for your time today and for connecting with me. I really, really appreciate you. And I wish you continued success. Amazing. Ryan, close us out with one of your awesome jams, please.
Okay, cool. Will do. Take it in, let it ring, automatic love. Let it ride deep inside, automatic love. Let the kids go, what do they know? Fear doesn't come for free. The ammunition, the demonstration. What a world to see. We're not dying out. We're not dying out. We're not dying out. We're not dying out. Take it in, let it ring, automatic love. Let it ride deep inside, automatic love. Soak up the sun, watching everyone trying to break free. The evil's burning, the people learning what they're blind to see. We're not dying out, we're not dying out, we're not dying out, we're not dying out. Take it in, let it win, automatic love. Let it ride deep inside, automatic love. Faces on the screen, surviving through the fight for a better scene. Take them by the hand, guide them with a heart they can understand. We're not dying out, we're not dying out, we're not dying out, we're not dying. Take it in, let it win, automatic love. Let it ride deep inside, automatic love. Take it in, let it win, automatic love. Let it ride deep inside, automatic love.
Excellent, Ryan. Thank you so much for sharing your music with us today.
Thank you for
Please go
having me.
check out. Oh, my pleasure, honestly. And thank you again, Alana. You both are a true delight, and I'm very happy to have met you both. Thank you. So today's theme was clarity. And as a fairly organized being, I admit that I am also one to clutter. Overstuffed drawers and miscellaneous piles of music and important papers sit on my nightstand and my desk. I've been like this my whole life. However, my awareness still hasn't prohibited me from revisiting this repeated habit. Out of sight, out of mind. That's what it's really all about. In my head, I think I'll get to it later, or I'll know where it is when I need to find it. Until the point where I can no longer open those drawers without a struggle, or that moment where I'm frantically looking for that important paper when I'm in a hurry, that I realize how ridiculous this behavior is. And like, why do I do this to myself? And I keep doing it over and over and over again. Why? I sit here in this very moment knowing that upstairs in my bedroom, I have those very same overstuffed drawers to sort through eventually. I think about this because I feel like in some ways our lives are no different. Our drawers are overstuffed with commitments. We spread ourselves thin, push ourselves beyond our limitations because the social constructs of living tell us we have to. The pressure we put on ourselves tells us that we have to. We want to be present, but we really aren't. We overwhelm ourselves with deadlines that we or others determine. We take the beauty in our everyday life for granted because we believe it'll always be there until it isn't anymore. The quality of your life depends on the decisions you make. Clarity is about turning the focus within and making decisions to support your happiness and the personal fulfillment you wish to achieve. Wean out the clutter by addressing the who, what, where, when, and whys of life. I ask myself these things. Who do I want to be? Who are my mentors, and what qualities about them do I respect and admire and wish to adopt into my own life? Who are the dark clouds in my life that no longer positively serve me or my purpose, who show little support, or who shower my life with unnecessary negativity? What type of life do I wish to lead? What influence do I wish to have on others? What am I passionate about? What do I want? What do I need more of in my life? What is it that is making me feel overwhelmed? What do I need a break from? What changes do I need to make? Where? Where do I want to go? Where can I take my life from here? When? When are you going to make that next bold move? When am I going to make those changes that I've long vowed to make for the betterment of my own personal being? And then why? Why do I do what I do? Why do I feel I need to make a change? Why is what I am doing now important for my future? Only you can ask yourself these questions, and only you can define for you what it means to live happily, fully, and passionately. Declutter by starting to ask yourself these questions and whatever questions it takes to get you to find in that clarity and to achieve in that peace within, because it's so worth it. Each of our minds can use a little more breathing space than most of us allow or even admit. Reprioritize and fill your life with more of what nurtures your spirit with peace, love, and joy. Because as Alana had said, your time and energy are too precious to be wasted and consumed by the things that no longer serve you or that support your overall growth and happiness. Life's short, live it well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And, with that being said, and what we had discussed earlier, this is our last show just for a little while. We'll be back in the fall. This summer, I decided that for the sake of clarity, it's time for a break. And I wish you all a beautiful summer. And I hope that you find your clarity and enjoy all your loved ones. Thank you to Beau Productions, to Rochester Woman Online. Special thanks to James Farley of Northwestern Mutual, to Maiden Voyage Studios. Thank you to you. I will see you guys in the fall. Have a great summer.